Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview lineup today, a very special guest, the new head coach of the Airport Eagles, Shane Fidler. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great. Appreciate y'all having me. It's an awesome setup y'all got going on.
Well, we appreciate your time. So I know you're busy getting settled and everything, but if this is you guys first time tuning in, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Movin Chains. Our website, movinchains.com. That's movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Fidler was hired in April. He's been the head coach at Ashley Ridge for the past 3 seasons. Prior to that, he coached at Waccamaw, Colleton County, Eau Claire, and Gray Military Academy. Coach, first question, I obviously we talked a little bit off here. How's that transition been getting from Summerville up here to West Columbia and just kind of making that move from Ashley Ridge up here to Airport?
Man, it's a lot of driving back and forth right now. Drop my son off at daycare every morning, hitting 26, coming up to Airport. But real thankful they got me started here at Airport full-time last Tuesday instead of just driving up for practice. So that's been real helpful, getting to know the kids, starting to learn them, starting to learn the lay of the land here at Airport. These facilities are amazing. I mean, last Thursday, it was raining and most everyone around here canceled, but we didn't have to because they have an indoor facility here that's bigger than most people's auxiliary gyms. So we were still able to get some work done. So, the transition's been definitely feel for the kids because this is their third head coach in 3 years. So trying to get them to understand that we're trustworthy here and they can want to be a part of what we're doing here at Airport, how we're going to build the program. But overall, very, very excited about this opportunity at Airport. Leaving a 5A school to come to a 4A, a lot of people don't understand that, but it's a chance to be an athletic director. I went to school at USC, lived in Columbia for 7 years, been going for a decade. Chance to get back to Columbia and a chance to take advantage of all the facilities and resources that Lexington 2 has provided Airport High School.
So, Coach, you did mention that you've spent some time in Columbia. Your career's mainly been in South Carolina. But how did you get started in your coaching career, and give the listeners some background info?
Yeah, so I was a student at USC. I saw they were starting a club football team. I answered the call and went out there, wanted to be a player. I wasn't good enough compared to some of the other kids that were out there, and they asked if I'd be interested in coaching because I had some good ideas. So got involved that way, did that for 2 years. That was pretty cool. Coaching your peers was different, but you do it how you think your coaches did, but you can't do that with your peers, whatever. Then they started a prep JUCO thing here called Gray Military Academy, which is now Palmetto Prep, and Gray Collegiate kind of sectioned off from this whole deal. So I know the names sound familiar and all that, but they are different entities. Did that for 2 years, got to work with Hunter Spivey and Corey Jenkins and Trey Hurd and Eric Sullivan, all these great guys, great coaches, played big time ball and coached big time ball and everything. And then went to Eau Claire for a year as offensive coordinator and got all grad school finished up, got my teacher's certificate. Heard from an old head one time, if you really want to coach football, you go get your teacher's certificate. That way you always have something to back up on. Getting high school and everything. And then saw an ad for Colleton County, was looking for offense coordinator, all that, applied, went down there, got the job, got there. We took them to the playoffs for the first time in a decade or something and had a great football team for 2 years. The next year we were ranked number 2 or 3 in the state or something. And then we our nose tackle broke his neck at Orangeburg Wilkinson. Our next best player playing Tennessee Tech snapped his leg, and that season kind of went down the tubes a little bit, but that all led to becoming the head coach at Waccamaw. And, took over a program, winning no games, took him to 7 wins, first time ever in the top 10 rankings in the state, and got back to the playoffs and, ran to the Dillon buzzsaw, but we did so many great things at Waccamaw, beating Georgetown, beating Carvers Bay when they were top 10 in the state, 44-0, just doing a lot of really cool things there. And then Ashley Ridge called, and that opportunity presented itself, and went down there, got the job about a week before COVID, shut the world down. So that was different scenario getting that up and going. But, built that program up, I think. It's a great spot for Coach Tate and them to take it to the next level. We had 7 wins last year. We were always either in or right outside the top 10 in the state. Rankins beat West Ashley when they were undefeated. They were number 4 or whatever. And a lot of cool things there. Sent a lot of guys to college over the years at all these schools. Most recently, our biggest one was Christian Garland, who was a Shrine Bowl linebacker at Ashley Ridge, signed with Old Dominion, had offers from a lot of places, but chose Old Dominion because of he just felt at home there and has family in that area, and his parents felt comfortable there, and it led us here to where we are at Airport. Airport's got a lot of history, a lot of great tradition in the 80s and the 90s under Les Evans, and in the 2000s under Kirk Burnett. And, just as recently as 2019, we're a lower state semifinalist. So, I mean, to talk about what Airport has had and what it can be, just from the resources it has and the players I see walking these halls is important. And I think it's a great opportunity and one I couldn't pass up.
Coach, I mentioned earlier, you got hired a little bit later in the process there in April. How is that staff shaping up? Have you able to kind of put that together yet, or just still kind of a work in progress here as we roll into?
We've been lucky. Quite a few of the coaches that were on staff, we've either separated from them or we kept a good bit of them. We were able to bring a defensive coordinator in, Brandon Studemeyer from Fairfield Central. He was defensive coordinator at Fairfield Central the last few years, and they've done a good job there. I've been impressed with the work he's done. Him and I actually went to grad school together. So we had a previous relationship, and he's actually an Airport alum, so it couldn't have been a better match there to bring him in. And he played college football, Division I, so it was a chance to show the kids, hey, this is what happens when you do right at Airport, and et cetera. And we're kind of opposite personalities. I'm more laid back. I can, get uppity and excited and everything, but he's like full on intensity, benches 430-pound guy. So we kind of bounce each other out when it comes to that. And I call the offense, and then just got an offensive line coach hired, McFarland Murph. He played at Brooklyn Casey. I coached him at Gray Military. He went and did college for a bunch of years. I got him to Waccamaw. He did my offensive line my last year. He's been coaching at a big school up in Virginia the last 3 years. So we got him to come back to South Carolina. So he's going to be doing the OL and teaching here in the school along with Brandon Studemeyer. Bo Bowers on the staff, the strength guy. There's a lot of great guys on the staff that have a lot of experience and can do things. And we're in the process of trying to get a couple more hired. Like you said, it's late. It was late. After I got hired, probably about 2 weeks to get stuff done before practice started. So I tell everybody to cram 4 months of work into 2 weeks. That includes hiring coaches and getting the staff right, because you want to make sure that your staff is not only right schematically, right? That's what everyone thinks, but you also want to make sure you have the right people in the building. I call them kid magnets. I want coaches that kids gravitate towards and they want to play for. I want that. That's the type of people you want coaching for. We had a bunch of those at Ashley Ridge, a bunch of people that those players would run through a wall for. So that's what we're looking to hire here. Still trying to fill 1 or 2 more spots just to make sure we got our staff in the right spot for the 2023 season.
Coach, you cut your teeth on the offensive side. Will you continue to call plays there, and kind of will you break down your offensive scheme a little bit? And then what are you looking for to run on defense for this version of the Airport Eagles?
Yeah, so I'll continue to call the offense. Like I said, that's how I cut my teeth, and that's just what I've always done. 1 year I didn't do it, the COVID year, and I got just a lot of management that year with temperature checks and everything. Just felt it was best to step away from that for the year just to manage the program. Then got back to it. In fact, last year was the first time Ashley Ridge ever scored 60 twice in the season, so we always hang our hat on that. There's something at every stop we've hung our hat on offensively, so we're hoping to do that again here at Airport. I'm a believer in the tight end, hand on the ground. A lot of people like to play with the H-back, but as soon as that tight end puts his hand on the ground, creates a 7th gap, adds an issue for the defensive coordinator. He's got to start making a decision how they want to defend it. You allow yourself to get some vertical threats and different threats on the outside. But essentially, we're trying to play with the best 5. I know no one say best 11 all the time, but you're always going to play with 11 linemen. You're always going to play with the quarterbacks. And then you're trying to find your best 5 skill guys from there. How do they fit, and how can you fit what you do based on those guys? What are they good at? What are their strengths? What can your line handle? Everybody wants to run inside zone. Inside zone. Inside zone's a great play. It makes it really easy on an offensive play caller because all the problems get sorted out by the kids. The problem with that is you're asking who to sort out the problems? The kids. And also the skill set it takes to run inside zone is a little bit more difficult. The reason those college guys can all run it because they recruit their guys, right? They're not just dealt the people that live in your attendance zone or go to your school. So, sometimes those types of schemes aren't catch-alls for what you're trying to do. So you got to figure out what works for your kids, what works with your group. And that's what we're trying to figure out right now because, I've been watching film from last season, been out here trying different stuff in spring practice just to see what these kids are really good at, what they can get better at that we can use, and just, trying kids at different positions, just trying to figure out how to fit the pieces of the offense together to make it work so we can go out there and score some points and win some ball games.
Coach, you've been a lot of places. Are there any coaches in particular you think are really have been big influences on you, or maybe even some guys at the college or pro level that you like to watch and pick things up from on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I've always, when you're the pro game is great. I know everyone's like, "Oh, it's NFL, they draft their guys." You're right, but the game planning that goes into the pro game, if you really watch and you're like, "All right, why did they motion that tight end? Why?" I was doing the high school blitz junior game, and we were sitting in a hotel room. Brooks Burnett, who's the offensive coordinator at Woodland, we were rooming together, and we're watching the Seahawks 49ers playoff game. And the Seahawks were flexing their tight end out about 1.5 yards, 2 yards. And we're watching them. Why are they doing that? Oh, they're only doing that to the Bosa kid's side because they're trying to keep him further away from Geno Smith so they can get stuff done in the passing game. So just stuff like that, learning, okay, why did this coach do that? What is he doing? Of course, everyone wants to watch Garrett Riley and Bill O'Brien and all these great offensive coordinators in college, but the talent level difference in college is so much more when the teams are playing as opposed to the pros where it's so marginal. So I feel like the pro game you can get a lot out of. You can get a lot out of the college game too. And everyone's doing this tempo stuff and everything. I'm not a tempo guy. I believe tempo is great. It's a great tool to have, but I don't believe in it as the whole offense because then you're just putting your defense right back there on the field if you don't do well. But as far as coming through the system or coming through coaching ranks, first, Hunter Spivey, he was the head coach at Great Military. He coached at Coastal, coached Jerome Simpson's, been at Newberry, he's done a bunch of things. He taught me a lot of football. He knows more football, or he's forgotten more football than I'll ever know. So he taught me a lot about run game and organizing an offense and pass game stuff, et cetera, and organizing how you want to call your plays and all that. So he was always great with that. We still keep in contact to this day. And then when I got to Colleton County, Chris Collins, he had been offensive coordinator for Jerry Brown and Bob Hayes and was a head coach a bunch of places, et cetera, and run all these different offenses. He really challenged me as the offensive coordinator at Colleton County to look at matchups. I mean, we were sitting there for 7-8 hours on a Sunday, and he'd be like, all right, draw up this formation on this hash. And then, okay, now draw up all the numbers of the defenders. Okay, where do you want to attack? Why do you want to attack that way? Because, guys will draw up formation. All right, these plays are good out of formation. True. But if the ball's on this hash, they might be lined up a different way on defense, and these guys might be in different spots. So he really challenged to find all the details out and to become a better game planner, not just play designer, not just offense designer, but game planner. So, I attribute those two guys in reality for so much of what I do offensively now. And then when I was at Ashley Ridge, I got to work with Bobby Marion, who was offensive coordinator at Stratford when they had all those great players for Ray Stackley and won state championships. And they went to West Ashley, and he was kind of known for the formation guy in the low country. No one wanted to go coach against him because of how many formations he's used, unbalanced, two back, and empty, and just gets on and on and on and on and on, and just gets in a million formations. And he really helped me grow in that area too when I got to Ashley Ridge. And he was the run game coordinator, and we worked together a lot when we were at Ashley Ridge and how we got the offense organized. But he would always come up with, all right, if we get in this formation, it's going to cause this issue, so we need to look at this. We don't need to change the plays we're running. We just need to change the structure we get to that play. And he did such a great job and still does. And I know he'll be down there with Coach Tate this year doing the same thing, and they'll be doing all that stuff and be causing all kinds of people in the low country problems. But, just between organizing an offense from Hunter Spivey to developing a game plan with Chris Collins to using formations to your advantage from Bobby Marion, those three guys really have helped develop me. And I'm sure there's others along the way. And if I forgot them and they're listening, I'm sure they're upset, but it wasn't on purpose. I was just trying to think of those three big factors and how those guys have got me set up.
So, Coach, you mentioned this earlier in the interview. You're the third head coach at Airport the past 3 seasons. How has that community and more importantly, the team embraced you in your short time there at Airport? Well,
the first thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show that I'm here for them. That's tough because they've heard that now 3 years in a row. So I get that, and I respect that. I try to tell the kids, look, I understand, I respect that. But I said, if you go back and look at my results, I've been the head coach before. I've done 2 rebuilds of programs before. We're going to try to do the same formula. I'm going to have to tweak it, obviously, to make it fit Airport. But if you buy in, the quicker you buy in, the quicker we can have success to what we're trying to do. So, just trying to sell that to the kids. We've run a bunch off already this spring because of how we do things. That's a good thing, right? You want to trim the fat early so we can keep up and get our guys that we want in there, so we can go out there and have the success we want to have. So been trimming that fat, been getting the right guys on the bus, right? The old cliche, get the right guys on the bus. But the community, right before I got here, I was at an elementary school introducing myself to the principal and the assistant principals and the people at the school. I've been in the middle schools, I've been in elementary schools. I'm calling different community members all the time, alumni, just trying to reach out and say, look, I'm here now. I don't know what's been done in the past. I know how I want to do things, how I've done things. Let's all get on the same page. Let's row this boat all the same direction so we can get airport back to where it is. The amount of airport alumni, Ray Stackley, Phil Strickland, Todd Varn, Deuce Staley, Jim Stuckey. There's 3 Super Bowl rings that come from this high school. There's multiple NFL guys, Hall of Fame head coaches in our state, college coaches, and countless alumni of football players out there that still believe in the program or own businesses or just want to be a part in some way is amazing. So just reaching out and saying, look, hey, I'm here. I want Airport to be successful. I want to bring the traditions that Airport had back, and make those work for the modern era and make them work for the 2023 kid, the 2024 kid. But while also respecting and embracing the traditions that Airport has had that made Airport what it is and what it has been and what it will be again.
Airport has had some really good football teams, some great tradition, like you mentioned, but they really struggled maybe the past 3 years or so. Is there maybe when you came in, one thing you're like, this is what I got to fix first, or was there really just a one thing that really stuck out to you, like this is the main thing we got to work on?
Well, my previous head coach, Coach Cook, did a lot of great things with getting the kids into the weight room and balled in and all that. So that's great. So we're just going to continue on with that and keep putting our own spin on that and getting kids balled into to the weight room. When I did my first team meeting, I did it in the weight room and said, guys, this is where our program is built. That's why we're meeting in here for the first time. And then the kids were like, okay, all right. So we've seen slow improvements in that just over the last few weeks. We're going to continue to fight through that. It's important to have all your kids in weightlifting class, important to make sure they're all buying into that part. Ashley Ridge, BJ Bellish, and Joe Hoff ran that weight room. Those kids they loved it. When I first got the job there, a week into the job, it was a random Monday. I'm in the weight room just observing, and they're working out so hard on a random Monday in March that a kid throws up in the middle of the floor. That's what I always want to emulate. That's what I hope we can get to here at Airport is it's in the middle of the off season. The kids are working out so hard because they love it so much that they're just putting everything they have out there, even if it's middle of March, because that's where the champions are built, right? In the off season in that weight room and building that program that way. So, just giving these kids stability right now is key. Hey, we're here. My wife and I just bought a house 10 minutes from the school. So stability is here. We want to be here long term. Just relax. We're here. I know, but again, I know you heard that from the previous guys. So understanding and respecting that, but also just trying to prove to them and earn their trust and earn their respect and helping them and us coming together to make Airport football what it needs to be again.
Coach, reading your bio as a program builder, I love seeing some of the initiatives you enacted. What were some of the favorite things that you did in previous stops to increase engagement and kind of get that team rolling and build your particular culture at a school? And will you use those same things here at Airport?
Yeah, so getting involved in youth football is key. At Ashley Ridge, we started with an 8U, a 10U, and a 12U football team. I'm leaving this year. They're going to have a 6U, 2 8Us, 2 10Us, and 2 12Us. So youth football buildup was so big there. In fact, that showed last year's Ashley Ridge football team had a varsity, 2 JVs, and a B team. We had so many kids out. So getting participation up in football is initiative number one, and there's many ways to do that. Involving yourself in the local youth sports is key. I've already reached out to our local youth directors, just trying to be involved with them, trying to show them, hey, I'm here for you. If I can do anything, let me know. Well, I used to put on free youth coaching clinics for the coaches. We'll bring that back once we get rolling here. I do a free youth camp in the summer for anyone interested. Why am I trying to make money off the kids that are going to be mine down the road, right? Everyone does youth camps as fundraisers. Okay, I can do other things as fundraisers. I can find a sponsor for said youth camp and I can put it on for free so we can start building those connections, building that relationship with the parents and the kids and our coaching staff and our program. And to me, that's key. And another thing we did to connect with the parents that we have is a mom's clinic, and that's been successful 2 stops in a row. Stole the idea from someone and just kind of made it our own. People call in clinic with me about it all the time. Hey, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? How'd you do this? The news has been at it and done their live 5 o'clock show from it. The news has come and followed the women around the whole time and done stories on it and wrote articles, etc. But that's just a great way to connect with the moms. It just, a chance for them to meet and create connections with other parents, other moms and grandmas and aunts and older sisters, etc., and guardians. But that was always great because at the end we do a mom 7-on-7. And if you get on the Swamp Fox football, Ashley Ridge Swamp Fox football Instagram, I usually do a live from it, so you can get on there and watch them do it from last July. But that's always fun because then the dads and the kids get to watch their mom play flag football for 20 minutes or so in a jersey. And we take the moms to their kids' locker and we show them how we put the guardian caps on their head to try to protect them. And we show them, oh, your locker's dirty, this, that, and the other, and they get on the kid. And it just starts to create that connection and trust in the program and build that relationship that is lasting beyond just what you see on Friday night or Thursday night, right? And another thing in program building is, when I was at Waccamaw, Tom Knotts has a beach house in Pauley's. That's where Waccamaw is in Pauley's. So I would, anytime he was in town, just try to pick his brain. I'd go watch Dutch Fork practices when they were deep in the playoffs and we were going. And the one thing that those guys always did and still do to this day, and that's the best high school football coach in the country, right? He still coaches JV and B team football. So on Wednesday and Thursday nights or whatever our B team and JVs are playing, you will see me out there screaming just as loud coaching JV football as you will see me coaching varsity football, because you have to build it from the ground up. You have to show everybody that they're important, and you have to build all levels. There's a lot of older coaches that I know or I've worked with are like, oh, I don't do JV. Great, because that's what it takes for us to win long term. We have to be able to do JV. Maybe in the 80s there were 50 coaches on staff, and you didn't have to do all that. There weren't as many high schools, so there were more coaches and less schools. And now there's more schools, so the coaches are spread out. There's everyone's doing varsity now, and it's just to me creating that connection. And I like to be with the quarterback because he's going to be the future varsity quarterback, so it helps create that. What do you like? How do you react to adversity? Let's get on the same page now when you're in 8th, 9th grade, 10th grade, than before you're 11th, 12th grade, and the lights are on and the standings go in the newspaper and are on the Friday night news.
Well, Coach, I know you're just getting settled in, but have you had a chance to watch much film for last year? You would see you guys at practice yet? What type of team do you guys have coming back for next year? Any special guys we should really look out for?
Yeah, well, my door's been getting beat down here. Dylan Barbary, offensive tackle, he's got a few offers over the last week, and my phone has been blowing up because of him. He's 6'6", 280 something, and ran a 5 flat at those Palmetto Combines, which, by the way, those Palmetto Combines, if you haven't had a chance to go to one of those or research them, if a high school football coach in our state is not getting your players involved in that, you're doing your kids a disservice. JP Gunter from Catapult Exos, who is one of the biggest recruiting liaisons in the Southeast, what they do for our players is amazing. Really thankful for them. It helped Christian Garland get the scholarship offers he got and raise the level he did as a Shrine Bowl player and now FBS football player. It's now helping Dylan, and it's helped other players I've coached. Nick Jefferson, who's going to be a senior at Ashley Ridge, he got 2 offers to boom in a week after that combine because he ran a 4.45 on the laser. So, Neil Smith runs that, and JP Gunter helps him, the guy from Catapult. So if you ever need to, you should interview those guys, because what they're doing for high school football is just as important, if not more important, than all these coaches that we interview and talk about. But yeah, Dylan Barbary, huge offensive tackle. He's gotten a lot of college interest coming through. God bless the rising 9th grade group coming from the local middle schools. I am very impressed with them. They're bigger and stronger and faster than the 8th graders I had coming up from Ashley Ridge. So excited about that group. Got a battle at quarterback right now. Feel good about the linebackers. We're still young in a lot of places, inexperienced at receiver and in the secondary, but there's talent there. There's chances to be good. We won't be very deep early, obviously, because we got to build that depth by getting the kids and the community to trust us and sending their kids us to play football. So it's going to take a while for us to build that depth, but if we can stay healthy, we have a shot to win a few and see how much we can get. Obviously the goal every year is to win a state championship. Donnie Kiefer was at West Ashley. He was at Green Sea Floyd's when I was at Waccamaw. He won 2 state championships, and we do like some summer stuff together. And I asked him, I said, what do you do? He goes, the expectation is the expectation. The expectation to win a state championship, no matter what. If you say, our goal is just to make the playoffs. Well, if you reach the playoffs, what's next? You've reached your goal. So now you're just going to stop. So your goal should be to win the state championship and to hang banners every year. So that's what our goal is. Our goal is to hang banners. You can hang banners in many ways. You can win regions. You can win lower states. You can win states. You can do a bunch of different things. So we want to hang banners, and we have really good players here at Airport. We have a lot of really good players coming, but it's going to come down to how quick can we buy in, how much can we get out of the weight room and our speed work between now and the season, and how can we develop our kids long term. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring in coaches that will get the kids out and develop them, and we're trying to get the kids on the bus, right? The cliche, trying to get the kids on the bus that are going to be bought in to what it takes to be successful and to win football games.
Coach, I'm glad you brought up the Palmetto Combine Series. That's awesome. With college recruiting being so difficult for high school kids, with everything that's going on at that level, how important is it getting your kids in front of people, using those resources and maybe the relationships you developed over the time with college coaches, to get those scholarship offers and things like that? And what are some other things that you may implement to get your kids to the next level?
Well, one thing I do every year is the college coaches always compliment me. I make a recruiting book. Let me see if I have one. Right here, I make a recruiting book. It's got all the kids' information. So when college coaches come by, any kid that's interested in playing college football in our program get that information is given to the college coach right here. You see how thick it is? So, it's got transcripts and personal information and pictures and everything that the college coach needs to make a judgment on a kid. So we find that to be very unique about how we promote our kids in our program, the programs I've been a part of and have been in charge of these last this will be year 7 as a head coach. So I find that to be gives us a little edge, making sure our kids are promoted. But I've been lucky enough to develop relationships with college coaches over the last few years. Something to help with that was in 2019, I was named American Football Coaches Association 35 under 35 and got to go to San Antonio. And at my table was Villanova, Baylor, Penn State, me, Texas A&M. I was way out of my league, but just being able to develop relationships with those guys and then those connections grow into other connections, et cetera. So that's gotten some people here at Airport that might typically not come. Like last week we had a college coach come and showed him around and showed him some kids. And he goes, someone on my staff trusts you enough to believe your word. And you told me to come out and look at this kid. And you were right. So obviously you've shown that you're a trustworthy coach with your opinion and we value that, et cetera. So that's been helpful. But those Palmetto Combines, man, what's great about them is JP Gunner, who used to coach at Citadel and I want to say East Carolina, some other places, Gardner Webb, whatever. He is so trusted by all these college coaches that purchase his product, right? All these parents and stuff buy that NCSA and buy these recruiting services. Those send out mass emails. Those are most likely getting deleted by these college coaches. Waste of money. Don't do it. Don't ever pay for a recruiting service, right? However, these if your high school coach isn't utilizing Catapult, Exos, or National Preps, those services, right? Jeff Mullen with National Preps, JP Gunner with Catapult Exos. Those services are purchased by the college. You're more likely to read something that you purchase as opposed to something that was just randomly sent to you, right? So those guys, especially JP at those Palmetto Combines, gets that verified data. He's the one doing the heights and weights. He's the one doing the wingspan. They got those Catapult devices. We had a bunch of them at Ashley Ridge. We're in the process of getting them here at Airport. That GPS data the kids, miles per hour and energy used at practice and bursts and all these things. And you can share that with the college coaches. But they do that at the Palmetto Combines, which JP gathers that data and then is able to publish it. And because he's so trustworthy and people know that what he gives them is legit, the opportunities for South Carolina kids is endless. And it comes down to Neil Smith dreamt the idea with the South Carolina Football Coaches Association. He dreamt that idea up and presented it to the Football Coaches Association board, and they ran with it. They got JP involved, and now it's really taken off after 2 years. And it's been a great tool for our state, and I think the recruiting of our kids has picked back up over the last 2 years because of that tool.
Coach, bringing in some new schemes on offense and defense here at Airport, do you have a big summer schedule as far as 7-on-7s planned, or how do you feel about that type of stuff and kind of getting that laid in for your kids?
Yeah, hey, when I got the job, Chad Leapart runs a really good one out at Gilbert, and he invited us to join his. We're real thankful for that. I was one of the bad guys in the 11-on-11 before that got approved, because we always did it everywhere I've been. Didn't think nothing of it as it being wrong. But now that's approved, we're going to try to do some of that with a few teams this summer. Then we're going to go to Hanna one date and maybe do another one. So just try to expose our kids to different teams, different types of offenses, different types of defenses, just so we can coach them. So we can coach them and get them better and get them to where we want them to be and where they need to be for the season. But yeah, it's getting your stuff implemented. The install is going much slower this spring than it would have, being involved in the program for 2-3 years down the road. Year 4 installed Asher Ridge would have been a breeze. We would have had everything in by the middle of week 2. We've just been refining and coming up with new ways to portray it. But here at Airport, we're still getting through the basics, getting installing, making sure we're lined up correctly, making sure we're taking the exact amount of steps here, or blocking on the correct landmark here, et cetera, et cetera. So we're taking it one step at a time. And like I said, real lucky that Coach Leapart out in Gilbert has invited us to join his 7-on-7s, what they got going on, because they do a great job out there from what I understand. And that's a great place for us to go get better.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
All right, Coach, we're going to transition to a couple easier ones now, take you off the hot seat a little bit. We know you just moved back to the Columbia area, but this is a staple question for Moving the Chains. Got to ask you, what are some of your favorite restaurants in that area? We spend a lot of time in the Midlands, at least 3 or 4 trips a year, so you got to hit us up with some restaurants when we make the trip.
Well, you're in West Columbia. It's either Zestos or Rush's off the jump, right? You got to go to one of those. When I was a student at USC, Palmetto Pig was real good down there. Loved that. Bernie's Chicken was awesome. Let's see. Max on Main's real good. Used to be a cash-only spot. I imagine after COVID that probably changed, but I've been going for a decade, so I gotta go back to these places and try them back out. Let's see. I know there's a home team now in 5 Points, so I'm looking forward to going down there. We had a home team down in Charleston, so looking to get down there. But West Columbia, man, Zestos is number one. That's king.
All right.
That's if hopefully you're coming to an Airport game this year. And before the game, you got to get yourself some Zestos and head on over.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to admit, never been to Zestos. I've been to Rush's a good bit, but I've never been to Zestos.
Come on, Jerel. Zestos is good, Coach. That's a good call. That's a good call. You mentioned earlier you went to school at South Carolina, so I'm assuming you're probably following the Gamecocks a little bit. But what do you think about Coach Beamer's tenure so far, and how do you think the program's kind of going here heading into the 2023 season?
I'll tell you what, he's a great program builder. And, high school coaches, we're real pleased with him. I know that because when he got the job, the first thing he did was reach out. He literally called every high school head coach in the state. Said, "Hey, I'm here. Boom. This is what we're doing now. We're here. I know you're an alumni. Have our back. Great, absolutely." Then he's also done a great job of reaching out throughout the season. Saying, "Hey, nice win last night. Hey, good luck tonight in the playoff game against Cane Bay. Whatever." He's, I know he's doing that for a lot of high school head coaches all across the state. So that stuff's important. He's getting out there, going to the schools, visiting the schools, seeing people. And obviously it's working if you look at the recruiting rankings and see what he's doing in state. The Clemson guys have been dominating the state as long as I've been a head coach because the previous staff in South Carolina versus the Dabo staff, they would come by, they'd have a notebook, they'd know who your kids are, they'd ask questions, they'd stay with you for 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour or whatever, and just talk to you. Right? They would They were smart enough to write your kid's and wife's name down so they could, before they walked in, be like, oh, his wife's name's Emily and his kid's Wynn. Hey, how's Emily and Wynn doing? Oh, they're great. Thanks for asking. I mean, I doubt they remember that off the top of their head, but they did a great job of trying to build relationships. Well, now South Carolina's doing that too. So it's a battle. And obviously, as a South Carolina alumni, it's great seeing them back on top. But either way, as long as our kids are getting great opportunities, and we want our kids, I don't care if they go to Clemson, if they go to South Carolina, if they go to Notre Dame, I don't care, Penn State, Coastal, NC's, I don't care, as long as it's the right opportunity for them. Obviously, if they go to South Carolina, that's just a bonus because I went to school there. But if they're going to where they want to go, where their family feels comfortable, they're going to have the best opportunity to graduate and to play football and to have a great experience. That's what we want for them, no matter where that is. Every school is welcome here at Airport to recruit our kids. But, like I said, you talk about Coach Beamer and what they're doing. Obviously, they're doing a great job. I don't have to tell you. I think you just look at the results of what they're doing, how they're building that program. But that schedule never gets easier for them, does it?
Not at all. Coach, I got to ask you one more time. You told us off air that you're originally from Pennsylvania. What's kept you down in the Palmetto State for over a decade now?
Oh, more than that, about half my life. So I'm 36 now. Went to school at South Carolina. So I think it's real easy. There's no snow. When I was looking at schools, whatever, ended up settling on going to South Carolina. I had some friends there already, and so that was great. But when I was a kid, we vacationed in South Carolina just like every northern person does, it seems like, or they know someone who does, or if they don't already. But just while I was at South Carolina, built relationships, got involved in working here, just loved it. No intentionally. The only thing that hasn't changed is my cell phone number, because I don't want to tell 300 people that my cell phone number changed. So people are like, oh, it's 717 number. It is, but understand that if I could just change it to 803, I would, if it just automatically changed in your phone. But I don't have to text 100 people, it's my new number, Then they still call your old number because they don't save it on the spot. You guys know what I mean. But, just bought another house down here. We just bought one like I said, a couple minutes from airport. So we're wife and I are we're just ecstatic. We love South Carolina. We've been close to the beach now for 10 years. So we won't be close to the beach. We'll be close to the lake now. I know my son's excited because he loves going to Adventure right there in the Children's Museum in the Vista. So he's all excited. Eddie, was on that show Blippi once. So now he's all about it. If you got young kids, you guys know what I'm talking about. So, but we're excited. We're happy. We're happy to be in Columbia. First time back here in over a decade. My wife's never lived here. We met at Colleton County. So we've been together 9 years. So just it's just love being in South Carolina. I love it. The food's better. The people are great. The weather is 100 times better. I remember shoveling. I remember my dad waking me up at like 5 in the morning. Hey, we need to shovel this sidewalk because kids got to get to the bus stop because school wasn't canceled. Down here, if that was that much snow, it'd be done for a week, right? So,
that's right.
Just glad not to deal with that stuff anymore. More importantly, just the people are awesome down here, and just it's home.
Last one, Coach. What are some goals for the 2023 campaign for the Airport Eagles?
Obviously, it's to hang banners, right? That's the key. But obviously, establishing our culture is the number one goal right now, is establishing the culture that we want at Airport High School. We want our Airport High School football program, and obviously I'm athletic director now too, so I got to establish that type of culture we want in our athletic department. In fact, that's what I've been doing. That's why I'm all dressed nice. I was playing AD this morning. But establishing the culture that we want Airport football to be, right? We want to be able to run the football, stop the run. We want every boy that grows up in the West Columbia, Pine Ridge, Springdale, Edmond. We want every kid that grows up in the airport attendance zone to aspire to be an Airport Eagle, right? You see that up when you look at Burns, you look at Gaffney, right? You look at those places, Ashley Ridge now, Somerville, right in the past, all those places. Those kids grow up in those areas and say, "I can't wait to be a blank blank," right? Well, we want every kid in this area to grow up and say, "I can't wait to be an Airport Eagle." All right, so that's our goal, and it starts with establishing our culture, and obviously on the field, our goal is always to go hang banners and to play in December. That's our goal. In fact, every day, my practice schedule, I got to print it, but the first thing we do is we call it December drills, right? The fundamentals of football, blocking, tackling, ball security. Every player on our team practices those every day, because if you want to play in December, that's what it takes. So every single day we do what we call December drills to get our practice rolling, because that's where we want to be, and that's the goal.
Well, this has been great. Definitely want all of our followers to go check out Coach Fidler in the airport program on Facebook, Twitter, etc. They do a great job of posting highlights and information. So definitely go follow them on there. Like I mentioned, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, etc. at Movin Chains. Website, movinchans.com. Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Movin the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach before we let him go today?
No, as always, congratulations, Coach. It looks like you're really just bought in building that program there. Just excited to see what you can do. Excited to see this 23 version of the Airport Eagles. Know you're going to be successful, so I'm not really worried about that. Just thank you for your time today and coming to talk a little bit of football with us today.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Y'all do great stuff for the players and coaches in our game. So just keep it up, and we're real thankful for y'all. And make sure you come by an airport game this year. Get you some Zestos on the way, right?
We appreciate it. We'll come by and shake your hand and check out an Eagles game for sure. No doubt about it. But
Can't wait.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank
appreciate
you guys
it
very much.